Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Harlequin here, and I've got another nice Dawn of War 2 cast for you all. And I just wanted to start this off by saying that we've had a lot of new subscribers come to this channel lately, so I wanted to say thank you very much, welcome, and you know, I point some things out. So if you guys want to discuss any of these replays or have any comments of these videos, feel free to leave the comments under the video and subscribe if you like it, of course. But in case you want to talk in more depth, I do have a link to my official discussion thread over at gamereplays.org. That's on my channel on the left hand side, and right below that I also have my Twitter information if that's your thing. If it's not, I don't really care, but I just wanted to invite you all just to kind of give some feedback and that sort of thing, because I'm looking to improve my Dawn of War 2 cast. So anyhow, let's go ahead and take a look at this map. So this is Ice Station Obelisk, a 1 versus 1 map. It's got this sort of, I mean, basically the name says it all. It's a frozen ice station. It's got a really nice looking feel to it, and if you just look at the mini map, you can see we've got one victory point up here in the north, one in the center, one way in the south, and then sort of a radially symmetrical distribution of just a couple of power nodes and normal requisition points and that sort of thing. So it's pretty basic map, honestly, other than having a lot of nice artwork to it. So let's go ahead and get this started and take a look. So down here in the lower right, we have the war boss for the orcs being played by Mr. PaperBag, and I did just kind of quickly look him up. He is definitely climbing the ladder rapidly and has a pretty nice score out there. Of course, Retribution just came out, the full retail version of it, so people have just been kind of clamoring their way up the ladder there. So you can see that he's got 2 squads of Slugger Boys out already, and now his 3rd squad is going to be the Shooter Boys. Meanwhile, his opponent, IKnowYourMom, is playing as the Chaos Space Marines, and he has chosen the Nurgle, the Plague Champion for today. So he went ahead and he got his Chaos Space Marines out second, and is now going for his 2nd squad of Chaos Heretics. So we're going to have to go ahead and see how that all works out. So for the time being, and this replay stood out to me because it has some really surprising things in the middle of it that just kind of shocked me, and so I thought I'd share that all with you today because it was pretty entertaining. Down here in the south, you can see that PaperBag Slugger Boys just moving right along and capping, and it looks like the war boss is kind of making first contact here, shooting away at those heretics. The heretics just gonna have to get the heck on out of there for the time being. But as you can see, each player can just kind of spin on out and cap the various points that are near them. Here we have up north the Shooter Boys and the Slugger Boys are totally engaging these Chaos Space Marines. The Nurgle Champion, it looks like he's engaged in close combat right now with all of the Slugger Boys just kind of tanking away at that, giving a little bit of room for his Chaos Space Marines to stay in ranged combat. You can see the Slugger Boys taking a tremendous amount of casualties there and having to retreat at the cost of basically half of the Plague Champion's life. And now the Chaos Space Marines just kind of opening fire. Shooter Boys again taking a single casualty and having to retreat. So for the time being, in the northern half of the hemisphere, it looks like the Plague Champion is doing quite well. Meanwhile, back towards the center, you can see the war boss pretty much just doing whatever he wants. These Chaos Heretics pretty much are going to have a hard time engaging him without a little bit more support there. And it looks like these Slugger Boys have been upgraded to have a burner, and they're coming down here perhaps to do some generator bashing. And again, I'm starting off my commentaries. Oh, and there we have that Doom Blast from the Chaos Heretics right there. They are upgrading an aspiring champion. Doom Blast sacrifices one of their units, does a little bit of damage and suppresses. Boom! And there you see it again, one member of that squad exploding, doing a little bit of damage there, but overall they are 2 out of 9 remaining. Gonna have to retreat on out of there. It looks like the war boss is now getting in on the mix too, and these guys are just getting wrecked by these burners, and in close combat they all die while retreating. Remember, while retreating you do take extra melee damage. So what I was saying before is I know that we have a lot of new subscribers and that Dawn of War 2 is rising in popularity, so a lot of my casts, I apologize if you guys are hardened pros, but I am going to be just kind of covering the basics so that everybody's up to speed on what we're kind of watching here. So anyhow, what I was talking about earlier was that the burners put them in a good position to come down here and do generator bashing, or gen bashing as it's known, which is just basically wrecking the early power supply of your opponent. Flamethrowers do extra damage versus buildings, and thus they're really good at that. Speaking of gen bashing, that is exactly what these Chaos Space Marines are doing this entire term. Backed up by the Plague Champion, these Chaos Space Marines have just been sitting here just kind of firing away at this power node, having a nice little skirmish here with the Orc Shooter Boys, and they just have to retreat, taking too much damage. Here we can see that the Chaos Heretics now are going into a worshipping circle because it is the Plague Champion. They worship Nurgle, which means that their worships regenerate hit points, doing a little bit of healing. You can see his hit points going up a little bit faster there. But it looks like the Slugger Boys now moving in on both sides of these guys with the burners. Oh, and a nice triple attack here, and bam, you can see, again, just not really even hesitating to use that little Doom Blast ability, and these Heretics are getting so wrecked retreating away right now, taking a lot of damage. We'll have to see if they're going to get out of there. Plague Champion even getting extremely wounded. I think the Heretics are going to make it out of there for the time being, and the Chaos Space Marines relatively unscathed. So yeah, a little bit of those suicidal Heretic tactics there. Meanwhile, just to the left here, you can see that the power generators have begun being upgraded. He is getting 2 power generators. Meanwhile, the Orc player, PaperBag, looks like he lost one of his generators during all of that and is now just upgrading another one. So, taking a look around right now, recapping some requisition, recapping some power. Down here on the south side, it looks like the Chaos Heretics right now are threatening this upgraded power node from PaperBag here. So, you know, kind of anyone's game for the time being here, but definitely I would say that IKnowYourMom, the Chaos player, is a little bit further behind because, of course, he did lose an entire squad there. But we'll take a look around and see where this is going to go. So, Slugger Boys right now, they do know that these Heretics are down here, but it looks like he's not choosing to engage. He would rather recap this requisition point. Always important to always be capping. Just always be capturing points no matter what's happening in the game right now. Here you can see the Shooter Boys have been upgraded with big shooters. They're letting loose onto these Chaos Space Marines. Meanwhile, the War Boss is engaging in close combat, just kind of wrecking into these guys. And here we have a nice little sort of tag in. The Slugger Boys going in just to engage these Chaos Space Marines in melee while the Shooter Boys back up. And right now, the combination of Slugger Boys and War Boss are just wrecking these Chaos Space Marines. Oh man, that was pretty much the entire squad right there. That was an entire squad of Chaos Space Marines lost. That is a horrible, horrible start. You pretty much need to have those guys the entire game. They're really powerful. Losing them all in melee like that is a real loss there. So taking a look around, we'll see what else he can do to catch up with it. But for the time being, things are not looking good for our Chaos player friend here. So Heretics right now recapping that same position again. And really, he only has two Heretic squads, upgrading a third one right now from his base, building a third one. It looks like the War Boss right now just kind of getting in the way of these Chaos Heretics. Again, they do have an aspiring champion, so they are a little bit tougher. But here they are getting in close combat, likely going to go ahead and fire that off. And oh man, check it out. What we just saw there is the Touch of Nurgle ability has been activated. Touch of Nurgle is something unique to the Chaos, to the Plague Champion. Basically, what it does is it makes it so that whenever one of their units dies, it explodes and heals everybody around it. Which, when combined with the fact that the Chaos Heretics can sacrifice their own squad members, look at that damage. It's sort of a double whammy because you can blow up your own guy and it blows up because of Touch of Nurgle, and it heals the rest of your squad. So a lot of explosion damage there. You can just see that this one kind of lunatic Chaos Heretic squad here was able to absolutely wreck PaperBag's frontal defenses there. And he was totally outmatched, and that Touch of Nurgle right there, really powerful combination. So obviously that's been around for quite a while, but for those of you new to this game, at least now you know what people are talking about when they complain about that. So anyhow, War Boss again is now engaged in a fair fight here, just kind of slugging away at these Heretics. Heretics going to have to get on out of there, and looks like they're just kind of surrounding him. Oh, looks at that. Looks like the tables have been turned just a little bit. War Boss backing away. Let's see if we're going to see any more of those little doom blasts coming out of these guys. I think for the time being they're going to risk getting suppressed, and yes, they do have to get on out of there. Shooter Boys just firing away at them like crazy, retreating. So the War Boss is going to be okay for the time being. Note, by the way, up here on the top, the Plague Champion has been upgraded to have his Bile Spewer, basically. It gives him a bileless discharge ability and whatnot, so he's just kind of spraying away at these, it looks like the Slugger Boys who are coming out here with their burners right now. Again, just kind of denying power. So it looks like PaperBag is in kind of a bad position when you look at the map, the distribution of captured points here around the map. He basically has control over the center victory point and one requisition point at this stage in the game here. So that's not looking good at all. He is about to be ahead in terms of victory points, but he's really down in terms of everything else. So you can see here the players having a little bit of a discourse about the fairness of using Touch of Nurgle along with Doom Blast on Chaos Heretics there. Understandably frustrating tactic to fight against. Anyhow, once again, it looks like the Heretics moving on in and the Shooter Boys being forced to retreat. Let's take a look and see what the War Boss is up to. He's moving on out. We do have a single war truck on the move now in the north as well. I do believe that that has been loaded up. We'll take a look. We can see the War Boss right now firing away at these Chaos Heretics. Chaos Heretics moving on in. Ooh, and we have a nice little stomp there. Knocking away all the troops that were just kind of wrapped around him for the time being. Looks like, unfortunately, he is trying to cap that central point there, which does not look too good considering that he is being kind of overwhelmed at the moment. Meanwhile, looks like a Chaos Heretic squad was just destroyed by what I can only assume was Slugga Boys pouring out of that war truck. And now for the time being, the war boss just getting on out of there. So this is a great situation here for PaperBag. PaperBag moving on in with this war truck, gonna dump the payload out. Yes, we have all of these upgraded Slugga Boys getting into close combat just where they want to be with all of these Chaos Heretics right now. Looks like the Chaos Heretics having to back away, only 3 of them left, shooting away like crazy. Looks like the Plague Champion here just got knocked away a little bit here too. Another squad of Chaos Heretics moving into the south. Very healthy squad indeed coming in. Oh, and we have Touch of Nurgle once again. Touch of Nurgle goes off, and he's just going to start doom blasting like crazy. You can see these guys are just hacking away, doing a ton of damage, almost completely taking out that entire squad in one shot there. Now moving around, we have a Weird Boy in the field right now, but he is completely surrounded. This poor Weird Boy is just about to go down. All of these completely Touch of Nurgle Chaos Heretics are just knocking this guy across the map, and you can see PaperBag is visibly disturbed by this turn of events here. Basically, that entire squad was just wrecked. Really only for the cost of a handful of models here from this Chaos Heretic squad. Really, really brutal tactic there. So, and it looks like the game is over. So PaperBag dropped out of this one. So I feel bad for him, but I hope this was at least informative to you guys, because it's a great example of just how incredibly powerful that ability can be if you don't play around it. So always look out for that. Anyhow, once again, I am Harlequin. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please feel free to subscribe or comment on any of the threads. Yada yada yada. Whatever. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.